I'm not sure if everyone, maybe there are some regular customers for Alexandra here, but if they are, you'll just have to excuse us for 5 minutes while we announce this book that OR is very happy to be publishing. My name is Colin Robinson, I'm the co-publisher of OR, and we're here to announce the publication of a book which we've got posters up in the window here and on the wall here. And the book is called Gay Propaganda, Russian Love Stories, and it's edited by Masha Gessen and Joseph Huff-hannon. And it's a collection of stories celebrating people in Russia who are gay and who are in love. And we are publishing the book in Russian and in English in one book, and we are going to publish it on the eve of the Winter Olympics in Russia, the first week of February. And our intention is to distribute the book as widely as we can in the United States, but also in Russia. I think it's possible that that may be the KGB. So one of the things that we're going to do, for instance, is we're going to have a free Russian ebook that we will try to distribute inside Russia. So all I really want to say is I want to thank Iran of Alexandra for hosting this event, and indeed the pop-up bookstore that we've had here for all week. And just to say how proud I am that OR's publishing this book, and hand over to Joseph, who is going to say a few words and try and bring in Masha Gessen from Moscow.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming. I think here we are, just at the right moment, joined by my colleague Masha in Moscow. So I know the volume's not amazing, but I think we can hear it pretty well. So I guess I don't want to say too much. I mean, I think I wanted to start this off by asking everybody to raise a toast to Oleg, who was married today, just about 6 hours ago, with his partner, the two guys in the tux over here. And I'm thrilled they could be here with us. And I guess just that sort of the thinking behind this book was, what is gay propaganda? It's when people fall in love, and apparently that's a dangerous thing. And we're collecting stories of Russians in Russia, around the world, who show in all of the awesomeness and day-to-day and, you know, the exciting and the boring of what it means to be in a relationship, to look for the one you love, to sort of, you know, be an authentic person. And we're going to publish it in English and Russian, as Colin said. And we hope to, you know, ideally not just get a readership in English, but get a massive readership in Russian. We're going to publish it as a free Russian ebook. Does anybody have any questions for our late night correspondent?
Who had this great idea?
He did.
It was, I think, an idea whose time has come. I also wanted to say hello to Tatiana, who was here with her daughter, who I met at a meeting earlier in the summer of a great group that many people in this room are connected to called Rusa LGBT. And in a way, Tatiana was one of the inspirations for this book. She told me about how she waited to get married before, you know, until Doma was shot down at the Supreme Court, and just kind of told me her story. And she's a very shy person, but she laid it out there. And I said, wow, that's an awesome story. There's a lot of stories like that out there. Let's put them all in one place and make them widely available.
But yes, to answer your question, with Joseph's idea, and it is one of those ideas that once you hear it, you're like, well, why didn't I think of that? I mean, that's such an obvious and wonderful idea. Thank you for coming up with that.
Thank you for joining the party.
Joseph, do you think this will spearhead an activist movement for gay rights?
I mean, I think that it'll be a tool in an activist movement that's ongoing and that is, I think actually, you know, Masha can chime in here, but I think is becoming a little sort of more cohesive in response to a really fucked up situation. I mean, I think some people, certainly that I've met, were not activists until a year or two ago, and probably kind of had decent lives, and sort of wouldn't have thought of themselves in that activist framework. But I think sort of people are activating around this and pushing back, and that it's tough. There's a state that has massive control of the media and that is using this as a brute, kind of propaganda weapon, for lack of a better word, to sort of advance a project. But I think that some people in this room and some people that are, becoming sort of more, the fact that Alexander and Ivan posted their photos from their wedding on Facebook, I think little things like that are activism, and they're powerful.
I agree. And it's a very odd feeling here on the ground right now, because it does feel like this community, which I wouldn't have even called a community a couple of years ago, has sort of come together and mobilized because of these horrible laws. And we certainly wish it hadn't happened, but in a way you have to be grateful for this kind of response and for sort of camaraderie that has sort of appeared because of this.
I have a question. So you just posted on the event group on the Facebook that the Time, New Time magazine, the Moscow Time, already known about your book, about you and Masha Gessen involving in the project. Does Masha feel a little uncomfortable in Moscow these days, and does she feel in danger or any persecution against her there, anything like this?
I mean, Masha can speak. I know this isn't the first time that she might be on the record as being fairly critical, but go for it, Masha.
Yeah, I think that this book would be the least of my problems at this point. No, I do not feel comfortable in Moscow, and I'm not planning to stay much longer, unfortunately. This apartment is up for sale, and we're getting out of here. But this will be one of the last things I report, actually, before leaving Moscow, which seems appropriate enough.
Could you talk a little bit about her experience talking to other people there and asking them these stories?
Sure.
Did you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, just sort of and you referenced it earlier, like some of the interviews or the recent interview you described to me, what that experience has been like, kind of as you discussed, sort of people talking about the gist of their relationships and not just the hardships.
It really is wonderful. I mean, I didn't expect this effect, although I guess it's predictable that you ask people to take a break from thinking about how awful things have become and ask them to just talk about their love story, and it's always wonderful. It's always a beautiful story, and it's always fun to tell, and it's always fun actually to interview couples, these happy couples, about their relationship narrative, even especially when it's totally unromantic, because people have fun with it. And the most poignant experience I had was with a couple who are actually facing a custody battle, a lesbian couple. And I went to see them to actually document the custody battle, because this is one of the very first cases where we actually see the state trying to take kids out of same-sex families. And then I said, if you're in the mood, let's record an interview for this book that I'm working on. And it turned into an incredibly fun evening. And it's sort of, I'm sure they'll get through this battle. So far, they're winning. And it was wonderful to sort of be in a position to help them remind themselves and each other why they're in this, and the fact that they have this wonderful love relationship. that holds them together, that keeps them strong. It was great.
Who's the target audience?
Who's the target audience?
I think the correct answer would be minors, but I didn't say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more that we can get this out in the Russian language, the better. And sort of, you know, I mean, some of these plans are still in the works, but there's a lot of enthusiasm from a lot of people in all kinds of circles to making this book, you know, widely available in Russian.
Do you keep the distribution in secret? The network that you know most of the time mentioned in the article, like
I think they mention it in a very vague way. That's
yeah,
how we like to keep it.
So that's perfect. Yeah. Do you know the amount of books, like the number the books will distribute through the Olympics?
I think a lot of these we're still working out. It's a question of resources, of the infrastructure, of finding people that can help circulate them. But if you're volunteering to go and help pass them out,
I'm not sure if I can.
Has there been any movement within from Olympic athletes that you've heard who are potentially going to the Olympics?
I mean, there's a lot, you know, I mean, I think it's no stranger to anybody that this is a really, really big story.
Yeah.
And there's been some athletes who have already, you know, made statements to the effect of, oh, I'll go do something. I think we would potentially be interested in people bringing these books and, you know, using it as sort of a platform and saying, hey, by the way, this is a great book. You know?
Yeah.
Or just like, you know, what's so great, is this propaganda really? This is lovely, it's a love story, what are you talking about? But I think athletes are powerful spokespeople, and you know, I think a lot of these conversations are ongoing, and I don't know, I sense a lot of energy in general around this. So I think we'll find some really cool people.
And we got an endorsement for the book from Greg Louganis, which is the first time we've published an all book that's been endorsed by a 4 times gold medal winning Olympian. So that's great.
Any gay athletes share the stories? No, not so far.
Somebody, I won't go into too many details, but there's actually, I'll actually take the moment to give a plug for an event in Moscow that's after the Olympics called the Open Games. That's being organized by the Russian LGBT Sport Federation. And we've spoken to at least one person who's involved in that. And so they're organizing an international LGBT sport event in Moscow the month after the Olympics.
Wow.
And they're telling other athletes, you should come, we want you to come. You might face some issues, but you know, we'll support you as best we can. But that's, I mean, I think, you know, there's people sort of their strength is saying, you know what, we're gonna kind of keep forging ahead and we're gonna test the boundaries, and so yeah, at least one or more people involved in that will have a story. Anything else? I know it's like 2:30 in the morning in Moscow.
It is. That's not the problem. The problem is I have a column to finish.
Well, I hope we've given you a little social energy to finish your column.
It's actually wonderful to see all of this.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Masha. Ciao.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks very much to everyone for coming. And let me just say, we're closing the All Books pop-up store in Alexandria tonight at 11 o'clock. And there's a party here. So if you haven't got anything to do at 11 o'clock and you want to drop by, you're very welcome. There's a band playing and it'll be great. But thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.